Hey YouTube, so I've actually never done this before. I want to tell you what's going on. So I bought an old 2003 F-250 7.3 Powerstroke diesel engine, 231,000 miles on it. I'm not a diesel mechanic. I'm not a mechanic at all. In fact, I know very little about diesel engines, period. 7.3, I've heard, is just a great engine, something that is reliable, and very few things go wrong. So I replaced the camshaft position sensor. I was having an issue one day. I was driving down the road, I turned my wipers on, it was raining, and it just immediately killed my engine. I put it in neutral, started right back up. Happened to me a little bit later down the road. Same thing, put it in neutral, started right back up. Replaced it with an actual Ford Motorcraft part. Did that myself, fairly easy, back up and running. 3 weeks go by, and I am driving home one night, last weekend as a matter of fact. I'm doing about 45 miles per hour. Just out of nowhere, my truck shuts down. No warnings, the gauges, everything looked good. No warning at all. Coasted into a gas station, could not get it to restart. It would not. It'd crank and crank and crank and crank, would not start at all. So I left it there overnight, come back Sunday morning, get in it, fire it up, and it purrs like a kitten. I'm on my way home. I'm about 7 miles out, driving 60 miles per hour down the road, and boom, just as if I reached up and shut my key off, it just quit. So I coasted off to the side of the road, checked my fuses, didn't see anything. I just had a fresh oil change, so I knew I had plenty of oil. I checked that, nothing out of the normal. Let it sit about 15-20 minutes, fired right up again, and I was able to make it home. Once I got home, I killed the engine, let it sit about 5 minutes, tried to start it again, would not start. About 45 minutes later, I get in it, start it up, and man, it starts right up. So started doing my research, and everything pointed towards an IPR. So I did go ahead and get one. I checked with my local Ford dealer. They wanted $309 for the IPR for the 7.3. I actually ordered it online through Riff Raff Diesel and got it shipped for $188. Got that part in yesterday. So I started on this project this morning. Now, everything I read and watched videos on YouTube said you're going to need a couple things. You're going to need either a 3/4 or a 19 millimeter socket to get the Tinnerman nut off, and you're going to need a 1 1/8 deep well socket or 29 millimeter. And so I didn't have the 1 1/8 or the 29 millimeter, and so I actually went to Lowe's. This, all right, thought that was going to be what I needed to fix my problem. So I've got a bumper here I'm standing on, makes it nice. All right, so what I've done so far is I've actually pumped out, I've removed everything. I've actually pumped out the oil from the high pressure oil pump. I got a 1/2 quart pumped out. I just put this back in there to keep any debris from going in accidentally. And I moved all my harnesses out of the way, disconnected some things, and so I have some clearance. I did go ahead and remove the Tinnerman nut, and you can see the IPR valve right there sticking out. The brass line behind it is a fuel line. It is fixed. So originally I put this socket on there, and I tried for probably 30 minutes, and I was not able, there's the nut right there. I was getting up to the nut, but not enough clearance to get over the nut to actually remove it. And so I thought I was running into that hose or the fuel line because my socket was resting on top of it. I thought that was impeding my ability to get a flush fit. So after wrestling around with that, I decided that actually wasn't my problem. So I got my new part that I ordered from Riff Raff Diesel that they sent me, and I was able to try it on the socket that I purchased, and what do you know, it doesn't fit. The diameter of the valve is impeding it from going over the nut. So what I'm going to do now is go to O'Reilly, get the 29 millimeter deep axle nut. I can show you it, something similar to this. This obviously isn't the right size. This is 1.1/16. Actually, 1.125 would work, but you're going to be able to have clearance through there, so your valve can go all the way through, and you still have room for your ratchet to be able to fit over and then pop that off. And this honestly has been like a half a day project for me. I know now what I'm doing, so if this ever happens again, I can say I could probably get this done 25-30 minutes, and that should go fairly smooth after that. So I appreciate it. Thanks again. All right, guys, sorry about that. So I got interrupted. So back what I was saying, went to Lowe's, bought that socket, thought that's what I was going to be able to use, and it was not going to work, right? So it just did not work. So what I have instead that actually did work is, I'll show you, is a 29 millimeter axle nut deep well socket. And so that, once I got that, I was able to pop that old IPR off without a problem. I mean, less than 5 minutes, I had everything off. I was able to install the new IPR, and that went fairly smoothly. Got everything plugged back up, and so I can actually show you, this is what the old IPR is. It's junk, okay? Absolute junk. Got everything back in place, and created a new problem, and I ended up having to order a high pressure oil pump reservoir because the top sensor right here was stripped out. Actually, it's this cover plate. The threads inside of that are aluminum, and when I went to put the sensor back in, it was stripped. So I had to order a new one of these. I've yet to install that. But an update on everything. Once I got everything actually hooked back together, I've been driving it now for a solid week, and that did fix my problem, guys. Runs like a new one, outside of that high pressure oil pump reservoir sensor part on the top. Again, I'm not a mechanic, and I know earlier in my video I'd stated I'd pumped all the oil out of the high pressure oil pump. What I meant was the reservoir. But the good news is replacing the IPR fixed my problem. So again, just to recap, driving down the road, everything's normal, and then all of a sudden, boom, truck dies. Well, not anymore. So now it runs like brand new, and it's had the camshaft sensor, camshaft position sensor replaced. It's had the IPR valve replaced, and it's had the ICP sensor replaced. All three of those things are known and prone, I guess, sensor failures for the 7.3. Anyway, I hope this video helps somebody out. Again, this is my first take, first video ever actually to put on YouTube. So let me know what you think. Thanks.